on the top of this, just, and it's done. You want to make sure that this is firm enough that it'll support the weight of what you're putting on it. Looks pretty good already, huh? You're lucky. Okay. And then just like the other one.
Perfectly matched. I know.
Not lucky. I used these. I measured.
Yeah, but even when I use those, it ends up not being good.
Yeah, I guess it's just luck. So you can use your.
To throw one the day before and then like you did, or better to. What do you do?
It depends what you're making.
Oh.
You know, it varies. You know, some forms would be better to do it that way. I make these stacked pieces. You'll see some that are bisqued over on top of my cabinet over there that are these globular shapes. You got to let those firm up and then assemble them like I did last week. This, I want to look at the form and refine the neck to relate to the form instead of being committed to it. So I'm going to blend the two pieces together, and I should be able to get my hand in there. If you can't get your hand in, you just wet it just a little bit so your hand will slide in. It'll bulge out. And then you sew it. So inside I'm going up and down like that, just really blending it. And then instead of throwing up right away, I used to have my studio at the house. So I'd go throw up at the house, you know. So start the movement by pushing the clay down into the other piece. So and it's just fingertips. So I'm really, you know, working that seam and blending it. And because I threw it, it's going to be a little bit thicker down here. So I've got some meat there to do it. Try not to get a puddle of water in the bottom. If you do, take it out right away. You know, just I don't have a sponge on a stick here, I might, but basically, you know, you can take a chopstick and rubber band a sponge like this to the end of it. That works really well. They have a commercial one that has a screw through a sponge like this and it spins and doesn't work at all well.
It doesn't work?
No. Oh, it's better to go like this. Yeah, and you can go to the hardware store and get a dowel. You can have one this long. When I was doing my really big pieces, I took a yardstick and rubber banded a sponge to the end. Okay. So be conservative with the water, just enough so your hands don't stick. Now I can start throwing this again. Remember, I left it thick so I could pick it up, so now I can come back and continue throwing it.
And you can design it, like if you wanted to, at this stage?
Yes!
Okay.
I can't change the bottom part, but I can sure change the neck.
Looks nice.
So you can see how, and you can do this in more than just 2 stages. If you want to work big, you don't have to throw big. You can do it a little bit at a time. Needle tool here. Let me go over trimming a little. See how it's kind of irregular up there? When you're holding the needle tool, don't be gentle with it. Hold it really firmly. You can hold it like a pencil. I'm usually pretty strong like that. A good way is to put it in the palm of your hand and use your fingertip to guide it. You have nice control. If it's really a big, thick piece of clay, you can grab it like this. You have one finger on the inside, one on the outside, and you just gradually bring it in as it's turning. I don't know if any of you have cut mat board before. It's like cutting through cardboard. If you try to do it in one stroke, you're not going to get a straight line. It's going to be hard to go through, but you do a bunch of strokes. That's what I'm doing here. also, instead of going straight in, I'm at an angle. I'm comfortable. It's right where your hands are throwing. Now, since this is kind of a large vase, I think I talked a little bit about lips last time. I want more substance up there. You know, so I'm going to just spread this out a little bit. Give it a little more clay. And then remember the collaring thing I did? I'm going to do it now again. This is that S shape where you have to, and what happens is it gets so tall you can't get your hand in it, you can stand up. This is the difference between an electric wheel and a kick wheel. Kick wheel, you can stand up, but then it slows down on you, so you've got to keep sitting down and kicking. This, and you can just stand up. In fact, these pedals are on the cord, so you can put it up on scaffolding if you want. I have a friend, Robert Miller, who did his graduate work at UCLA in huge pieces. You know, they ended up in China, but he had a teapot that he could climb into. Yeah. And he had this vase. I don't know, if you look through those ceramics monthlies, there's probably an old article about him, or an ad for Industries wheels. But there he is. He's not very tall, but he's next to this pot that's almost twice his size. And you just do it a little bit at a time.
Have you ever had one just kind of collapse?
Sure. Everyone has.
I'm worried. It makes me nervous.
But you know what? That's the fun. You know, you gotta push it a little bit. I kind of like what's happening. This is different from what I've done before. So I'm gonna do that like that. I could just have it flow, but I kind of like these transitional lines where it goes from one, you know, the base, it's almost like the period at the end of the sentence, and then your statement, and then it flows, and then this terminates it. It gives it, stops your eye before it keeps going off the piece.
There's still some, even though the size, there's still some elegance with this piece, I think, because then you know.
Yeah, and it's also a good idea, particularly when you're working bigger, not to just stay right on top of it, to get up and walk away from it and look at it from a distance. You see how long I can work on it? I'm not, you know, spinning. I could just, you know, keep playing with this, particularly if you rib off the slip like I'm doing.